gonna paint from the background first and move it up, okay? So we're gonna start with this kind of blue, ashy color in the background, and then we're gonna actually paint the whole thing that color. The best thing about oils is that when you create layers, it helps the color on top of the one that's underneath. So it helps doing blue all the way through, because then that kind of neutralizes this ashy brown yellow that we have on top, okay? So to get that color, you're not just gonna slap on some blue. That won't work for you. Gotta move the iced coffee. Okay, we're gonna get our brush wet with the turpentine. We are going to mix a more diluted blue. So start with white first, because this is pretty light, and remember, white gets overpowered very easily. So we're gonna thin that out a little bit. We're gonna take a little dash of blue. See, I just barely even touched it, and it's already pretty, changes color pretty quick. Okay, that's a pretty dark blue, and if you guys can tell, it looks just a little green too. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take just a touch of the green and add it into that blue, and that might have been a little bit too much. Okay. All right, and you kind of hold your paintbrush up to check on the actual painting. Okay, and we're just gonna do a nice thin layer of this. Now, what I want you guys to know is when you're painting this layer, it's okay if there's a little bit of streaky white coming through, because it's just a wash. Okay, so we're just trying to get in all of the paint color as of right now. So you want it to be thin, you want it to be super diluted with a lot of turpentine. You can come across in different directions, doesn't matter. Okay? So we're just gonna slap this color on. I am just spreading out that color, and if it's really thick and goopy in some areas, I'm just gonna grab some more turpentine and kind of work my brush back over that, okay? All right, so you have that layer down, and it should be super light, okay? It's just to build your layers up, just to give you a heads up. So the next thing that we are gonna do is we are gonna actually map out all of the areas that you guys are gonna have to worry about, okay? Now, something about this painting is, if you notice, the table is not straight across. It like has wonky, skewed angles. We have different perspectives going on. That was all on purpose. Okay, Paul Cézanne painted like this on purpose because his goal was to make this not look realistic. He wanted to make this a very, very good example of an actual painting. This is a work of art you're looking at, not a photograph. Okay, and it seems kind of obvious with all of his other painting, but he warped everything on purpose. Okay, he wanted to make it look wonky. So we are going to learn how to use our paintbrush as a pencil. Okay. So, what I recommend, and don't judge me, I was eating cereal, I was eating Captain Crunch, okay? Put your painting or your picture of your painting up on something that you can look at, okay? I'm gonna move this over so you guys can see. Okay, you can see, okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the paintbrush wet. Doesn't matter if there's still some leftover color on there. In fact, sometimes I kind of like that because it gives this really, really rundown, washy, messy look that oil paints do so well. So you can leave that, it's okay. What I would grab though is the burnt umber, which is brown, okay? And just grab a little bit and get your brush nice and covered in a good thin layer of that burnt umber. Okay, so it should be pretty brown. Hopefully you guys can kind of see, okay? Now, what we're gonna do is notice all of the juxtapositions. I'm gonna start with the table, okay? Table is almost about halfway. It's a little bit higher than halfway. So what we're gonna start doing is just drawing in the shapes here. Now, I'm drawing super lightly, okay? That's the key here, gotta draw lightly. The second thing you guys can do, and why you prop it up, is you can hold your paintbrush in the angle that you see. Okay, so I'm holding at the corner of the table right now because I want to get this corner. holding, and I'm just gonna bring that straight over and put that in. And it's okay if it's wobbly and stuff at first. It's all right. Okay. All right, so now we're just gonna keep building up as we go. We've got the basket that almost comes up to the corner here. Comes all the way down. And again, you guys can hold your paintbrush in all of those angles to kind of collect each angle as you go around. Okay? But keep building this. And here's the trick I was gonna show you guys is if you ever mess up with oil paints, you know, like say I did not get the right angle here, which I don't think I did. Use your brush, get it wet and get all that gunk and paint off of your brush. Then come over, you can dab it a little bit, and just scrub at that line with the turpentine and your brush. Okay? So you can use your brush to do that. Or you can take your rag and do the same thing and just kind of scrub at that area. Okay? You guys can see that that is erased. Okay? So, let's try that again. I'm gonna get my brush back on with that color. Come up, come down. Okay, that looks better. All right, so there's the opening of my basket, and I gotta grab the bottom of the basket. Okay, again, I'm just holding at those angles that I'm witnessing. Okay, and this is kind of covered with a blanket. Just part of the blanket. Now, don't worry about the fact that you're using burnt umber to get all of this. That's not burnt umber, obviously, right? We're building layers, so we're painting on top of it. We just want the burnt umber because it's a good underlying color for all of it. You could do this with black. You could do this with green. It doesn't really matter because of the layers that you're going to be using. So let's put the bottle right here. Okay. And you guys can start noticing relationships between shapes, okay? Because if we notice, my table might be just a touch too high, just kind of depends, but I notice that there's kind of like a nice V shape in between the basket and the bottle here. That's really easy for me to come in, notice, and fix up right here. So it kind of matches the V shape that you see in there. Okay? All right, so you're just gonna keep building this up, looking at relationships between objects and using your paintbrush as your pencil. And I'm gonna go ahead and stop there and finish out this really quick. All right, now the next step and the last step is to kind of block out the shadows that you're gonna see. So anywhere there's a shadow, which, for example, the bottle is probably one of the key areas. Oh, as the lights turn off. Okay, that's fine. We are going to just take some of that burnt umber and apply those shadows in. Now you're mapping out for a reason, so you're not trying to go super, super clean, super, super neat. You want this to be messy, you want this to be dirty. It's oil painting for you. Because this stage is all about being messy. You can make as many mistakes as you want. So we're just gonna put in these shadows and notice the shadows. Look closely at every single fine detail that you guys see here. Okay? We're gonna go ahead and put that top in. Just throw it in there. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and do that on all of the shadows that you see on here. Now, this mapping out section is gonna take you guys just a little while, because I know you're all perfectionists and I know that you want to get all the shapes and the shadows and everything right. So this will take you probably one of the longest, just to get all of the shadows in. I think this, I need to have a little bit more, just like a towel that those are sitting on right there. So we're gonna go ahead and throw that in. Again, don't be worried about having the right colors, okay? Because we are going to layer. Right now, you're just worried about where goes where and what looks like what, and we want this to be absolutely perfect before we start the next section, because once you start the next section, you start putting on more paint, it gets a lot harder to fix any mistakes. Okay, so map out all the shadows, and then that ends your phase one. Okay. And as you're filling in shadows, check to make sure that you have everything correct. Alright, I will upload the next video on how to do this next after this part. Okay? Good luck, everybody, and message me if you have any questions whatsoever.